Welcome back, fellow Scrubs. This is Mark D. Wiz, your host of the Game Dev Scrubs, and we're working on Retro Mansion game today. We're gonna make Ricky skid better. So we did some of that work last Thursday, in making a momentum system. So like in Mario, when you start running, you start off slow and then you gain speed, but you can't turn around, really quick. You'll come to a skidding stop, something like that. Not quite as exaggerated, because I think you're going to need more precision in this game to be able to combat enemies. You're not jumping on things, you're actually, using like essentially toys and such. Like Ricky's got a baseball bat. Someone might have jump rope. I don't know. Jump rope's kind of a weak weapon, right? But you get the idea, where each of the kids are going to have their own set of unique weapons. And so we did some of that last time, and we got a pretty decent result. Now, this is obviously exaggerated. He's not going to take that long to get up to speed and whatnot. But for testing, it's important to it's important to exaggerate it to know that it's working correctly. So here, must have the turnaround tuned weirdly. What do we have here? What did we do last time? We had, a skid velocity modifier. Yeah, it's 10, so he stops really quickly. Because it's set to 10, it's set so high. But if we put it at 1, then you'll see that he skids. And this is kind of more like ice, right? So you could tune these values in real time. So when Ricky's standing on ice, he gets that kind of reaction. And then when Ricky's standing on land, then it only takes a little bit for him to stop. And then you could use that for different terrain types, or even perhaps different like elevations, not elevations, inclines. So like when he's going up a ramp, maybe you want him to slow down his acceleration, something like that. I don't want to get like too neurotic with it and too nuanced, because then you're going to start to break the retro feel, right? But if you happen to, how do I want to say? If you don't do enough of it, it's going to be weird. So if you're going up an incline, you should be moving at less speed, typically. Now, Mario does this quite interestingly, where depending on the game, in Mario 3, I think a small incline. So that would be something like, let's make a new layer here. And we'll use Ricky's green. So a small incline like this, which is only 8 high. These usually don't. In Mario 3, I believe they don't actually slow you down at all. Like, they compensate for your movement, left and right, but they don't actually slow you down. By compensate for movement, meaning when you're moving from here to here, if you move diagonally the same distance, you only end up here along. If you move this far, this on flat, then you should only move this far here. And that's because there's an angle here. But I don't think it actually slows you down. So instead, the 45-degree angle 4s will slow you down. And in Mario World, it gets even crazier, where 45-degree angles will push you backwards. Like, you can't even stand on them. They'll actually slide you down backwards. And the small ramps actually do slow you down significantly in Mario World. Very strange, but, it is what it is, I guess. So, what I wanted to do last time, guess where we left off here. Let's load the code. We had for the graphics, when Ricky turns around and he does his skidding, to get the graphics to work right, we had to do something special here. Yeah, update animation. So let's review this quick. So if he's actually moving at all, he's considered running. But then, if you're holding left, you want to know if you started skidding. But you can't already be skidding, right? You started skidding if the animation was not standing last frame. In other words, you weren't standing and you just turned around. You are currently running, or moving rather. That really should just be moving, but... And you were facing the right direction, but now you're holding left. And I think this part here, we're, saving whether or not we're skidding and checking the other way. I don't think we're doing that quite elaborately up here. So we have to kind of copy that back to the top system. And that will get it so, because we do have the problem where, set this back to 5, I guess, was a pretty good value to see this. So if I just tap left and let it go, tap right and let it go, he skids like really, he skids really fast, or he's really slow. Where if I hold it, then he skids really fast. And we want to get it so that if we even tap and let go, we want the momentum to just stop like that. It should just stop. Because ultimately, what we don't want him to look like he's skidding on ice if you just tap to the left and stop. It should stop him completely. And let's see, time to full velocity. Let's give that a 1/4 second. And a time to stop. Let's try 1/4 second. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's all right. And then his skid modifier, I'm gonna put it at 2. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's about what I would expect. Let's try 1.5. Yeah, how about that? That looks pretty good. So that's. But if you notice, if you tap it, he does it longer. Again, we didn't exaggerate it here, so you see that it's a little harder to tell, and that's why I have it slower at first. But essentially, I want him to skid to a stop pretty quick. And if you tap it the other way, you don't want him to look like he's sliding on ice. You want him to come to that stop. Unless he starts moving, I guess, back in the other direction. So that's the other thing. And I'll revert back to... let's see. Oh, I did actually change this. I'm going to change these back to 1. Or time to stop, we'll do time to stop at 1, but time to accelerate at 1/4 second. So the 1 just represents 1 second. And yeah, we'll keep that at 5. I think that'll be all right. Oh, no, I guess that's way too much. We need 3. Oh, that's really quick too. 2? Really? But at 1, oh, that's all right. That's all right. That'll work. But yeah, see if I just tap, how he keeps going. The only other thing is that you want the momentum to reshift if you turn around really quickly. So if you think you're going to go back, but then you second guess it, you should be able to gain momentum back. Yeah, that's the idea. We're kind of taking a page from the Mario formula. And then trying to refine that. So the only issue we have is that when we tap back behind us and we let go, and then he skids like way longer than he should. So let's take a look at where this skid value is taking place. Is skidding. Yeah, here's the problem. We're not saving the fact that we were skidding. We're trying to calculate it on the fly. And then apply the skid modifier only if we're skidding in the opposite direction that we're actually moving, or holding the opposite direction. So let's see. Yeah, we need a started skidding and an is skidding. So this I just named it is skidding, but I'm gonna have to rename this to is skidding animation and skid direction animation. And then was animation standing up? I don't know if we need that one or not, because that's just an animation thing. So we do want a skidding direction normal again. And these ones should all be the animation one now. Yeah. And we do need is skidding. And this will be for the actual movement. And all of this stuff down here is animation. We've already made that work, so we're okay with that. So we need a started skidding in place of this. We'll say that it's false first, and then, oh, you know what? We should probably put this above, because I think we can do all of this inside of here. Well, to be efficient and not have multiple brackets with the same conditions. Okay, so by default is started skidding is false, and this will change in a minute. And started skidding, honestly, we can just kind of copy this and roll with it. So it cannot already be skidding. Let's get rid of that. Is currently moving. I guess we know that because they're holding left to right. So it doesn't like. Oh, because I got one down here. We'll fix that in a second. And then the facing direction is right. I wonder if we should use velocity sign instead of facing direction. I think we should, because we're doing that here. That's essentially what this is. So, let's see. How should we do this? Velocity sign. Well, that was less than, right? Velocity sign equals -1. Oh, double equals. And then this should be easier to compute anyway. Velocity sign is equal to 1. Just to get that out of the way here. So is skidding, facing direction. You're holding right. Man, this gets a little tricky because depending on where your character is, can you think of like Sonic games, right, where you can go upside down? What is right and what is left? It's kind of hard to define that sometimes. Because when you're upside down, should it get reversed? You know, if you're holding right while Sonic goes up a wall and then goes upside down, if you continue to hold right, he'll just keep going to the left. Because that was the direction you were pressing before he went to the wall. It gets a little complicated, but I think for now, we could add all that stuff later. I think what I want to do is just use the velocity sign. So if you're not skidding, I guess we will have to have a was moving last time. So last sign, yeah, okay. What is last sign? I'm gonna say last velocity sign to be very specific, and honestly, this shouldn't be here. This should be at the end. Because you don't want to set the last one. If you need to compare between the two, you want to set what it was last time at the very end of all these operations. Now, oh, let's see. Well, do we have a last velocity? We do have a last sign, but do we have a last velocity? Doesn't seem to be. We should probably have that. Yeah, current velocity, but I don't think we have a last velocity. And all we'll do down here is that last velocity is current velocity. And then when it goes through and it updates, we can always refer back to the last velocity. Wait, shouldn't the, you know what? Actually, these could go on the top too. These really could go right up at top. No, actually it can't, because some of these values are generated on the fly. It probably is better if they just remain at the bottom. That'll be fine. I don't know about current velocity though. Let's see. Acceleration. Man, this stuff gets a little complicated, right? Well, we'll leave it down there for now. We can use the last velocity sign to get the information we need. We actually don't need to do a full comparison on the velocity itself. So in order to know if bool was standing still last update, then we can say if the velocity sign was 0 and velocity sign, the current velocity sign, is not equal to 0. Oh, double 0. Because remember, 0 means nothing. 0 means standing still. -1 means moving left, and +1 means moving right. It's just, sign really just means the plus or negative sign on the value. So if velocity is positive, you're moving forward. If velocity is negative, you're moving backwards. That's all that is. It's nothing too interesting there. So we cannot have been standing still last frame, which means we just turned around from standing. And our velocity sign has to be 1, meaning we're moving right. think. Wait, hold on. I think that's reverse. Your facing direction was right. Yeah, okay. It's reversed because I did right here first and left second, but the other way I had it left first, right second. So to be honest, we should probably make those the same so I don't get myself confused again. There we are. So if we're holding right, then we wanted a -1 because we were moving left. And then if we're holding left, then we want +1. I think that'll work. So that'll tell us if we started skidding. So then, if we started skidding, what did we do now? We said, we changed the skidding direction. Yeah, so in this case, I want to change this to a sign. And do we ever use this for anything up here? I don't think so. I think this is only a sprite thing. So, in fact, I'm going to get rid of it. This is all animation stuff. Uh-oh. Something's unhappy. What happened? Oh, I see. Okay, it is used by the animation because there's a facing and the skidding facing. But yeah, this is all animation stuff. We're not using this for... This is what happens when you don't work on something for a week. You can't remember what you were doing. Here. So, this is all animation stuff. The facing direction. Because that makes sense. Your sprite is facing one way or the other. So we're not going to worry about that. We'll get that out of there. But we do want... in fact, all of this is animation down here. Move this. You can click and drag text, which is really handy instead of cut and pasting. Okay, so we're gonna move this skidding up here. And we said we need to know our skidding sign. Oh, that last velocity. Where is last velocity sign? Skid velocity sign. Okay, so when we started skidding, we're going to say, is skidding true? And the skidding sign is going to be... I think it's going to be the opposite of our sign. Let's see. What do we have here? It's the same. It's the same as our sign. Oh. So we record that. Now let's get rid of this. Yes, and then if is skidding, then we apply the velocity modifier. And that's what causes him to stop quicker than just letting go. Because he's turning around. He's putting force in the other direction. Let me look at this to make sure it looks okay. Oh, we need a way to get out of skidding. So, what did we do down here to get out of skidding? Let's find all references. Where does it get turned off? Here? So... is skidding... Okay, if we are skidding... Yeah, here we are. And our velocity does get turned to 0. Or we turn around. Here, so we have stopped, or we have turned around. Then we want to skid. So, let's go back up. here. We have to add that here. Now I've copied and pasted it. It's not going to be exactly accurate here. We're going to have to change a few things. Okay, here. So if our velocity sign is 0, meaning that we're not attempting to move left or right, or we've stopped, rather, we've stopped moving, then we're not skidding anymore. And if our velocity is not stopped, it's not equal, then, and our so our velocity sign is not the same as our skidding velocity sign. We have turned around during the skid. So now we will turn this off. No, we don't. Otherwise, we want to continue using our velocity modifier. There. That should probably work all right. Yeah, that seems all right. And let's take one more look down here. Is there anything else after that? It doesn't look like it. All right, let's see how that works. Or if it works. Moment of truth, let's go. Looks like it. It's a little hard to tell with, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take time to full velocity, I'm gonna put it to 0.5, half a second. I'm going to increase this speed. Where's the terminal velocity 5? Will he actually get that far? Doesn't seem like it. Is that our speed? Crank that? What happens? Oh yeah, okay, that's it. Okay, time to full stop. Let's see. Let's make this 2. Let's make this 10 instead of 5. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay, this might tell us what we need to know. Nope, it's still not working. He's still stopping faster if I'm holding one way or the other. I think I know why though. And in fact, I'm gonna save these settings because yes. And paste values. Because those were pretty good values to work on here. So here's what was wrong. If you're skidding, you need to continue to use the deceleration, the skidding deceleration, I think. Maybe? Hold on, let's see. I'm trying to think now what to do here. Because I think what's happening is we're not sustaining the skidding. No, it should still, I don't know, it should still be doing it because of this. But when you're not holding the left or right, then you're just getting the normal deceleration, right? Well, you are holding left or right. You are getting the full acceleration. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, let's think for a moment. How do we fix this? I mean, TLDR, basically what we're saying is that we're pretending to still hold that direction. Actually, I think I have an idea. We're pretending to still hold that direction even though we've let go, right? So let's say or the velocity sign is equal to 1. Let's see, or velocity sign would be equal to, we're saying that if they're different. That's when we break out. So what if we say if they're still the same? Then just keep going. Actually, we'll have to say that they're both equal to 1. You can't say that they're the same, because that would be potentially true for both left and right. Because the left version will be -1. Yeah. So if you're skidding, let's see. I'll probably have to put an is skidding. If you're still skidding and your velocity sign is in the same direction, then just keep doing it. I think that should make sense. Let's find out. Okay. Oh! Whoa, and he's gone. What happened? Where'd he go? Ricky, stop. I can't. He won't. He's just going. He's just going. Okay, well that was an interesting result. Wait, so does it work on the right? No, he just keeps going there too. Alright, well that certainly didn't work. Let's see. Well, this is getting complicated. Let's step through the logic again. When we're holding right, and then we press backwards, we want to start skidding and applying this additional deceleration. When we let go of, say we're moving right and we press left, while we're holding left, we're continuing to apply this greater deceleration so that we stop faster. But if we're holding right and we tap left, for a moment we're holding it, but then we release it and we want it to still be skidding. I think that it should just work, right? We haven't stopped. You're not stopping the skid because you haven't stopped yet. And if you're still moving and you turn the other way, you turn it off. Oh, typo. So why doesn't this work? I mean, it seems like it should. And if not, then still... Oh, yeah, okay, right. Hold on. But yeah, I see why it's not working. This is okay. This is working okay. I don't think there's any problem here. There's a problem up here. That when you're actually holding left or right, you get a certain acceleration rate. If you're letting go, you get a certain deceleration rate. Hey, wait a minute. How about this? If you let go, if you are skidding, then let's do a different value. How about that? If you're skidding, then you want to get acceleration times the velocity sign. How about that? Maybe that'll work. And then when you pop out of skidding, then it won't be there anymore. Whoop. Huh. And now he won't stop when I start running. And it still doesn't work. He still stops faster if I hold one way or another. Maybe I have to have negatives here for him to actually slow down. Right, hold on. So, oh yeah. I did the wrong one. I'm sorry. This one has to be this one. I had him swap. That might be why it didn't work. Oh, go on. Yeah. That is not the let's say negative. That's not right. Oh hey, I think I got it. Wait, no, he actually slides slower. He slides faster when you hold it? He feels like he slides slower when I hold it, as opposed to tapping and letting go. That's strange. But it's the same thing here. You're getting the same value. So why would it feel different? Is it placebo? Can't wait till you have to do this all over again with an ice level. It feels like he slows down faster when I tap it, and I'm not sure I can explain why. Hey, at least the turnaround works. It feels like it's working okay, just the speed feels strange. Maybe it wouldn't feel so strange without... Let me check something here. It kind of almost looks like he's stopping, like, as soon as I let go. So, we're gonna do some... You know what? Let me put this up here. We're gonna do some debugging here. So I have a check mark. If I keep it checked, it will move right for me, and then we'll move left, and we'll let go in one frame. Yeah, he slides to a stop. So if I move right again, and I just hold left, maybe it's just placebo. It looks like he stops in the same amount of time. Well, you know what? Let's check it. He's at full velocity. I'm gonna press left once. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 frames. We'll repeat the experiment. And hold one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It was 15 the first time, right? I actually forgot. I should write these down. Okay. and that was hold 15 to stop, release, unknown, choose. He's running, and this is the release version. So 1, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, it's placebo. It's just weird in my head. It's the same amount of frames to stop either way. Oh, it does look weird though. Is it really the same? Does he travel the same distance though? Okay, easy way to find out actually. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3 frames, turn, release, and let it go to its conclusion, and we'll copy the value. Release distance 1.75, and repeat the experiment. Oh. Repeat the experiment with 1, 2, 3, switch, and let him go to the stuff. Oh, he hold on. One, two, three. I gotta be careful. I gotta watch for when he actually stops. Okay, and hold distance, and we get, yeah, it's the same. All right, it's placebo. I'm just weird. I'm freaking out about it. He goes the same distance whether I hold it or not. So yeah, okay. I'm just weird. I'm just weird, and I think problems are happening when they're not. So the other question is how fast should he decelerate then on his own? I mean, obviously we'll be tweaking and changing these things on the fly for some time, but it is something to think about. It does feel pretty good though. I think the deceleration is way too slow, but it's kind of cool. The deceleration definitely looks like ice. I think the turnaround speed is okay, but it needs to, how do we want to say? It needs to tighten up a little bit. I think the acceleration needs to be a little higher? Maybe. Yeah, acceleration will need to be a little higher. And then acceleration will have to persist through the air as well. I don't want it to be like Mario, that if you jump from a standing position, that your momentum is just completely screwed in air and you can almost not move at all. So it's a little weird, but the jumping momentum, well, two ways you can solve it. One is that the once you jump, your acceleration just maxes out. Once you leave the ground, it maxes out. or you actually have the same acceleration and deceleration in the air as you do on the ground. I would like to try the second one first when we get to the point where we can jump. I'm almost thinking that if the turnaround gets any shorter, that pose is going to be a little too dramatic, I think. But we'll see. I might have to also put in some code that says, for the animation only, that if you're under a certain speed, you just turn around. You don't have to do the skid pose. Because if you start walking and, like, I don't know, or maybe a different skid pose takes place, like a less exaggerated one. Or the whole thing just has a less exaggerated one. If you start to move a little bit and then you turn around, he like way overcorrects. He looks like he just freaks out and goes the other way. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, eventually what needs to happen is that these values get offloaded into like a scriptable object, like a file or something. And then you can swap them on the fly. So you say when he leaves the ground, swap these out from the ground ones to the air ones. And then have the momentum thing just kind of go. And then like if he lands on ice, then you can swap out the normal ground for the ice ground. And so on and so forth. I think that would probably be the best way to do that. And then we could save multiple profiles and then swap them out on the fly. And since we have that, why don't we just do that now? So we want... I'm trying to think, should we make them exclusively scriptable objects? Probably. Then anything, yeah, because any object that's going to be moving around is going to be a complex object anyway. So it's going to have a folder with all its files and stuff in it. So we might as well just do that. So let's see, the time to stop, time to full, what are all the ones here? In fact, let's make this easier on ourselves. You can just take a screenshot with Windows, and we can go in here and we can mark off the ones that we don't want. So terminal velocity we need, time to full velocity we need, time to full stop, skid velocity modifier, current velocity we don't need. We don't need time elapsed, we don't need last sign, and we don't need start at full velocity. That's a debug feature. We don't need anything with the keys, and we don't need anything down here. So... yeah, okay, so just these. Terminal velocity, time to full velocity, time to full stop, skid. Yep, and that's these. So wherever this script is, we'll give ourselves a little more room here. Right here. Oh, we should make it its own thing. What's it called now? Player horizontal movement. I'm gonna rename that actually. Let's call it walk momentum. Walk momentum system? Oh, I'm so bad at naming these things. I don't know. I guess. Let's put project up here too. Project tabs. I like seeing them like this. We want to move player horizontal movement controller here. Because we could use this for anything. It doesn't have to be the player. Let's say character. character walk momentum controller. How about that? Character walk momentum controller. Question from chat. Just curious, how are reflections made in games that use sprites like water in a water puddle? Okay, I can answer that actually. It's a good old Ricky here. That's a good question. I don't mind taking a detour for this one. Background. Let's make this a little wider, a little taller. And so typically, you have your ground, right? So let's assume that we can see some perspective here. And this won't be what the game looks like, but just as an example. And then on that ground, we've got a puddle here. But otherwise, it is filled in. And we've got a water layer. Oop. I should make it just in here. I don't like that kind of blue. What? There's a good water blue, right? And then on the background, we'll fill in the background. So here's basically what they do. Is in between the background and the water layer, it's a reflection layer. And that has nothing, apparently. Now it has something. Okay, and that's got a Ricky, right? But we're gonna flip it so they tie the two sprites together on the bottom. And then what happens is they just flicker the two. So here, and it ends up looking like this. So this sprite just goes on and off. It's the same sprite, it's just upside down and it goes on and off. And you would say, I don't know, you could make it really flickery, like that. And there you go, there's your reflection. Now the preview here frame skips a little bit, but if you have a solid 60 frames per second and you flicker it on and off, it actually has a pretty nice look to it. In fact, Pocket Fighter EX has a stage that does that. Let me pull that up. That's the other game I work on. It's just a fan game, but it's kind of cool. I guess this one is probably the most up to date. Probably up to date. Yeah. Where's my computer? There's a stage in it that I do basically just that. See, let me. In order to get a puddle like that, you do have to have a cutout. So you will have to have multiple layers to do that. Unless you get really restrictive. But here you'll see in this particular stage, I have reflection set up. See, on the bottom. So it's like a shiny tile floor. And what happens is it actually takes the opposite. Like if you jump, it goes away because it's actually taking the opposite position from the floor and it's going downward. Let's see, very excess. So if you wanted to do something with the sprite, say change the color of the sprite with reflection like effect, and Rocket Knight, how would you go about it? All right, let me take a look at that. we got a link. Let's take a look. Okay. Well, it depends. In this case, actually, what I think they're doing is they're just rendering the top image and doing it underneath. So, now let me choose my words better. Let me get a frame here. So what they're doing is they're taking the top half of the image and they're just mirroring it upside down to the bottom. And what they're doing here, specifically the Genesis and the Super Nintendo can do this. They're using a horizontal interrupt or a vertical interrupt, whatever. I guess it's a vertical interrupt. Well, either way, whatever the case is, when the Super Nintendo and the Genesis are rendering their lines, they go one by one from the top. They do one line of pixels and they render it from top to bottom, from left to right, until it goes all the way down. And then when it hits here, they set up a piece of code that says, hey, you know what would be cool? If you start going the other way when you render the rest of this image here. And so what happens is it starts reading the pixel data in reverse, going down. But also the other piece of code that runs here is a, hey, let's change all the colors to red. And then that's how you get that. So it's a pretty complex thing here. It looks like it's also trying to stretch something a little bit. Or maybe that's just the effect because of the texture. But that's essentially what's going on. Is at some point it's saying, hey, Genesis, start rendering the stuff above it as you go down, like upside down. And it's like, okay. And you can do that. I don't know if the Super Nintendo was particularly capable of that trick, but it's the same kind of technology. It's just interrupting the render of the image and start messing with it on the fly. Yeah, no problem. And the color change is how they do this as well, where his top half outside of the water is normal color, but his bottom half inside water is blue, because when it hits this line, when it starts drawing the water, it hits a vertical interrupt, which causes a piece of code to change all the colors in the palette to bluish, so that it looks like he's underwater. And anything else underneath it. If they want to. Apparently they didn't do it with the fish, which is alright. So they probably only changed his palette, and then the fish they left alone. That might be for clarity reasons. This game looks hard. Or is this person playing particularly... Damn, how is he going so fast? I'd lose control and slam into a wall. No wonder he's screwing up. It's weird. Or do you not take spike damage when you're going super fast? I don't know. Whatever. I never played this game. It's actually a really fun game. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say good things about it. So I should play it sometime. I just don't have it. Oh, it's on both Sega and Super Nintendo? Whoa, interesting. Huh. But they're wildly different. Oh, okay. That's strange. It was a Konami game, right? Rocket Knight. Yeah, I've heard lots of good things. I know they did a remake. I don't remember that one looking too great. But I haven't played it, so... Can't say. Yeah, Konami's golden age. Yeah, isn't that long gone? Ugh, Konami. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the trick typically. So it depends on what kind of reflection you want, right? So we saw two different ones there. The like they have in Castlevania. The only one I could think of is Aria Sorrow. for the Game Boy Advance, when you walked by the mirrors, it was just like this. It was a reflection of your character sprite in the mirror. Now, obviously, it wasn't upside down or whatever, but it would be in the background, you know, in the mirror. But that's the same. That's the same kind of thing. I think they do some crazy shit with the V interrupt and Castlevania Bloodlines. Yeah, they do lots of crazy stuff. Now, there's more than just the V interrupt in the Genesis's toolkit. They've got some more other stuff I was reading on it. Like, it's not exactly the same, but it kind of ends up being the same. They also have like a horizontal interrupt and a vertical at the same time, but the Super Nintendo does not have that. So it's actually got more advanced stuff, and that's how Bloodlines does its tile shifting to make the Leaning Tower of Pisa rotate, like pseudo-rotate. And that's why some Genesis have like pseudo-rotation in their stuff. Like, it's a little... some crazy additional stuff that they can do with it. That's why I'm not sure that the Super Nintendo could have done that like upside down reflection like that. I don't know about that. The Genesis was pretty powerful. It in some ways it looked underwhelming, like the color palette wasn't very good and that kind of stuff, but you know, it really had some good tech behind it. I think the color depth per character was smaller too. Like Super Nintendo, you can have 16 colors per sprite, but I think the Genesis could only have like 6 or 8 or something. It's a little weird. It was kind of a weird little middle piece of technology. But yeah, anyway, so that was a fun diversion. Where were we? Oh yeah, we're just reorganizing some stuff. It's like the 32X Sega CD add-on basically fixed a lot of the drawbacks the Genesis had. Yeah, like with music quality, and I don't think the Sega CD did anything except add the CD extension, right? I don't think it actually added any specs to it. It just, I don't know. I think it only added the CD storage. Maybe a little more RAM. Oh, it added scaling effects. Oh, okay. That's cool. Sprite scaling. Okay. Yeah, the 32X is weird. It actually hybridizes the video signals, where it actually causes the Genesis to render some of the image for it, and then it kind of like pastes its thing on it. So if the way the 32X works, let me see if I can get an image of this. Just for people who don't know, let's see, Sega 32X images. Okay, this should be safe enough to share on stream. So the 32X here, you see, snaps into the top of the Genesis. And then, there's the Sega CD as well on the side. And then it can snap into the Genesis. And this cord here goes from the Genesis's video out into the 32X. And then the 32X has a different video port that goes out to the TV. So what happens is usually it generates the background on the Genesis. It makes the Genesis process the background. And maybe that frees up the 32X for other, more complicated tasks. And then the 32X takes its layer and puts it on top of like the Genesis's thing, and you can see maybe it's backwards. The 32X goes to the Genesis and then out the TV. Whatever. But the effect is, let me see if I can find an image of it. Video unplugged. I thought it was very interesting. I can't get a good... The AVGN had a good episode on this where he forgot to plug in the cable, and it shows you, like, it only shows the background, but, like, the characters are missing. Or, like, in Virtua Fighter, the 3D models are missing, but you can see the stage. It's something like that. It's just really, really funny. So somehow the video processing is split between them. Let's see. Virtual Fighter without video. I can't get an image of it. Virtual Fighter 32X glitch. I can't find an image of it. That's funny. Let's see. Missing characters. No, I don't know. I can't find an image of it. But basically, it would be, you'd see the background, but the characters, you'd see that like the light bars in the background and the characters would just be missing out of it. And I can't seem to get a picture of it. I guess it's kind of a rare thing. Because like, no, like, you know, if they re-released it, you wouldn't be able to make that happen. You'd have to have a real 32X to make it happen. Yeah, it's just really weird though, but I'm sure you can find it somewhere. Batman Returns the Sega CD. You see the sprite. Oh yeah. That's the where it had the Batmobile section, right? And it was kind of like one of those arcade racer kind of games. Yeah. That had the sprite rotation. And scaling. Scaling and rotation usually go hand in hand. Okay, so let's... I clicked too far. I got a new mouse, and it's a little more sensitive than the old one. I'm still getting used to it. Of course, I do that all the time anyway. I'm not gonna make that excuse and say that it never happens. Okay, so we're gonna call it character walk momentum system, I guess. Okay, and then we need to rename the internal class here, and we'll do namespace character walk momentum system. Oh, why was this called character walk momentum? Yeah, we'll call it system. We call it system on the other side. We'll call it system here, and all the way down. Digital Foundry has a good 32X retrospective that goes into that stuff. Hey, that's cool. I should watch that. I don't watch too many Digital Foundry videos, but every time I do, it's like really good. I just kind of forget that they exist for some reason. That's not throwing shade at them. It's just, that's my own fault. I do that with a lot of stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a really cool thing. And then I just like completely blank out on it for like 10 months. And then I'll come back to it and just binge through it, right? That's how that works. Okay, let's see. Then we need to now make character momentum configuration. How about that? That's a decent name. Namespace character momentum system. A namespace, if you don't know, is just kind of a categorization thing. So that if I'm anywhere in the program, I can just do character walk momentum system dot and see, oh hey, what's in here? Oh, I need a configuration thing, or I need a controller. And just kind of puts them both under the umbrella. So we can get rid of that, and this is going to be scriptable object. And create asset menu. This basically just makes a menu in Unity that can be used to create the file. So new character momentum configuration. Actually, I should call this walk momentum. I did up here too, didn't I? Okay, character walk momentum. And this is walk momentum controller, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. We'll copy that. And then menu name. I guess character with momentum system. I mean, it's kind of big, but that works. And we'll say momentum configuration. We can shorthand the second part. Okay, and then inside of this, like we said before, oh, we need to change the file name. Hold on. Close that. Yeah, save. Excuse me. We can make one right now. It just doesn't have anything in it. See, walk momentum configuration, boom, and there it is. But there's nothing in it. That's because we need to add the values now. So terminal velocity, time to full velocity, time to full stop. Okay, and we don't need these. Those can remain in the other file. Should this be a minimum of 0? I think so. This is going to change. What I would ideally want to do is just like I have the time to full stop, time to full velocity, I should say time to skid stop and have it calculate based on that how to get down to 0. It should be pretty simple, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Okay, so there's two ways we can go about this. Do we want this to be modifiable at runtime? I don't know. Should I be able to go into, at runtime, into here and change this value? Like, part of me is saying, no, don't do that. But another part of me is kind of like, maybe you'll need it at some point. And that's where the public comes from. If I name it private, then nobody can access it. But what I would do here is I would just rename this one and then make a shortcut for it, essentially. That would look like this. So you could only change this in editor. I'll show you. It will show up in the editor to change here, but you couldn't actually change this value. This is the value that gets set, and this is just a shortcut that points to that value. So you can change it in editor, but you can't change it from script elsewhere. I mean, in theory, that's an alright way to do it, I guess. Excuse me. But if you ever wanted to change some values on the fly, you wouldn't be able to do this. Trying to think of how flexible do we want this to be. Should you be forced to use one of these? Or should you be let to change them otherwise? This could actually get into a complicated structuring question. But I think for now I'm just going to leave it as is and leave it accessible. Oh, and take the underscore off. So the quick and dirty way to do this is to take out these values and put in a public character momentum configuration and just call it config, I guess. And say momentum config. Oh, just capitalize property. Yeah, properly. Okay, momentum configuration. And then, let's see. Now you notice all of these are producing errors now, and it's because we moved them. So in order to really fix this, you just basically do this. Oop. Copy. You have to start doing checks for this file too. How come I can't get that? What's it say? Inaccessible. Oh, I forgot to change this back to public. That's why. There we go. Now it's in. You have to start checking if this thing actually exists. Because if you try to use it and it doesn't exist, it's going to get freaked out. And that's kind of where some of the question comes, should you be required to use this or not? So you would say if you're moving, if you don't have a momentum config, return. And you don't actually move. Then you're free to use it in here. Like this. And you just put that momentum config in front of all the values. Oh, this one actually uses terminal velocity. That's funny. This animation thing will eventually get offloaded somewhere else. But for now, it should be on. There's a lot of efficiency changes I could make here. I'm a little reluctant to do some of that now. I don't want to give like bad coding examples, but this will most definitely, if you try to access this, this will give you an error. For real. If this thing is not set. Now, they're private, so you can't access them outside of here. But still, if you try to access them down here, you'll get an error. But it will stop it before then because it checks ahead of time. But this is bad practice here. I think probably what might be the ideal way to do this is to have all these values in the controller here, and then whenever you assign this, it kind of overrides them. I don't know. I'm getting wishy-washy on it. Well, either way, this will still work in the meantime. This is not optimal by any means, but this will still work in the meantime. So, let's see. And then update animation happens down here. Okay, we're all set. This should be pretty safe, even if I don't put one of these things in here. Okay, and remember when we had this? We're gonna need it. Terminal velocity, 10. Where'd my thing go? Okay. Time to full velocity, 0.5. I took that screenshot as, yes, a way to whittle down our values here, but also so we have an idea of what they were, because guess what? They don't exist on the controller anymore. Once I deleted them, they're gone, and now it's all the debug values instead. So we need to, well, first of all, let's try to do it without one here and make sure that we don't get any errors. And it looks okay. Looks like it just doesn't work, and that's what it should do. It should just not process. And now we use our test file, and hey, how's that? And the other thing that benefits us here, let's see, ground movement, we'll call it. We can change this in real time. And the values will stay, they won't revert. And it feels pretty good, actually. Let's see, time to full velocity, quarter second. Oh, well that changes the this substantially. 1.5. There. That's pretty good. That actually feels really nice, and I don't have to worry about this configuration reverting when we leave and we come back. It's going to be the same as it was. It feels pretty good, actually. It really does. Yeah, I like it. So that's the power of doing these scriptable objects. And now I can just make 100 of these if I want, and then swap them out. So I could make another one that's ice movement. And we'll say that our top speed is 10, but our time to full velocity is, 1 and 1. And our skid factor is 2, maybe. So if I go here, and you can change them on the fly. Here's my ground momentum, my movement. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I want to change the ice movement. And here we go. Now we have ice movement. That's the real power of using these scriptable objects. So then we hit ground and we're back on normal ground. How about that? And that makes life so much easier, because you could put another script in here that controls this kind of stuff, that will just keep swapping out the momentum configuration as it encounters different types of terrain. In fact, we might be able to do that. How about that? Let's try that. I think that'll be fun. So here's what I'm gonna do. Let's just do it this way. 13? Yeah. And this will be negative 13. Okay, now we have two different... Nope, that's not quite right. Can we get them closer? How about that? 12.94. 12.94. There we are. I'm going to say that, and this is really, this is really just a janky test. Like I wouldn't build a game around this kind of logic. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the left half of the screen is normal and the right half of the screen is ice. So I want to know where is this shader coming from? Solid material. I wish I could just like go to it somehow. Test map. Oh, here. Can we make another one of you? Yeah, here we are. Solid ice and solid dirt. Dirt's gonna be brown-ish. And ice is just gonna be blue. So here, solid ice. And here, solid or dirt, whatever. There. So when we look at it here, we can see the delineation. And then I'm going to do code here. I add a test for type controller. And it's going to have, well, we're going to say using the character. It's still loading. There it is. Character walk momentum system. This character momentum configuration. I'll say it's public. And we're going to say dirt config and ice config. And then in update, if transform.position.x is less than 0. Oh, we also need a handle to our character momentum controller. And that one's going to be private. You don't have to put private. If you don't put anything, it's automatically private. But I like to put it there so that if anybody looks at it, or even if myself, like 6 months later, looks at it, and I'm like, was that supposed to be private? I don't know. Nothing's here. What was my intention? I don't know. If I write it, well, then I know my intention was to have it private. But anyway. So I'm going to say momentum, character momentum controller, and on awake, we're going to get component of character momentum controller. We just want a handle on that. And so if this doesn't exist, then return. We don't want to do anything. So if our position is less than X, and that's dirt, right? So we say momentum config equals dirt config. And then else if the transform is greater than 0. Then we want the ice config. And honestly, that's all there is to it. And we just set the configurations here. The ground movement and the ice movement. And we'll keep it at ground movement first. And it should just work. So now I'm sliding, really slippy sliding. And now I'm not. How about that? Look at that. It works. How about that? That's kind of cool, actually. And there it is. And that's really all there is to it. And that's the basic logic of it. I mean, you don't want to do it that simplistic. But if you could tie it to your tile type, say if you're on normal ground and you're, I don't know, I guess you could call it a traction type, right? That's what it is, it's traction. You get low traction on ice, and you get high traction on ground. It works pretty good, actually. That's funny. I like it. It's pretty cool that it works. But you can see how building these small little systems, you know, once we extracted those values out of the controller, now we can start to do all sorts of wild things with it. Hello, let's see. from chat. Simply great games. Hello, hope things are going well. Well, things are going very well. Hope they're going well for you. And welcome. How do you have the time to create 2 games? I don't. I'm just shortening my lifespan. I really... they would go faster for sure if I was just doing one or the other, right? Well, yeah, so 2 terrain types. But if you had a traction type or traction value in your tile map, and then you say that 1 is, or 0 is just normal traction, that's what you get here. And then 1, a value of 1 is ice traction. And then that would, then you could have a traction table where you have 0 equals dirt, 1 equals ice, 3 equals, I don't know, whatever. However many types that you need, right? It's probably not too many. And then you could assign those to the tiles that way, perhaps. You might want to do a few different reference tables to do that. That gets a little complicated. I don't have time to like really go over all that here. You definitely don't want to bloat out the amount of information per tile. But you could do something like, by reference table I mean like, you have maybe like even a scriptable object somewhere that says this tile is part of, you know, this category. So when you go to that tile, that specific tile type, you look it up to the reference tables and say, hey, does anybody have this tile registered? And is that tile, what is the traction profile for that tile? And then it sends you back the momentum profile, or configuration, I guess, to use the correct language. Or not the correct language, but what I mean to say is the language I had been using. Yeah, you can do a bunch of things like that. That might be a pretty good way to do it. Have a table that has, you add the tiles to it, and you're like, oh, this tile's a dirt tile. And all the dirt tiles you put in there so that when you're walking on them, that they equate to that one momentum configuration. And then what you would do is you would just take the tile that you're standing on, and you would look it up. You'd look it up in the reference system and say, hey, I got this tile. Who belongs, what group does this tile belong to? And then it'll send you back the group. And you'd be like, oh, okay. And then the group itself would have all the information of like how, you know, what the momentum profile is, maybe has other information. Like maybe you can't jump while being on that tile or whatever. You can do anything you want. This look cool though. I like how skidding one way and then reversing just goes. That was definitely something I thought would look good, and I think it does. You're skidding, but then you go back the other way. It's kind of cool. It's kind of like it looks like he's second guessing himself, which is exactly what the player is doing at that point. Or they're making a very minute change. And of course, if you were to jump, you would change momentum profile again, so that you can move at normal speeds while jumping. Or your jump can be different too. Maybe your jump doesn't have a deceleration at all. And that's possible. Well, let's see. I wonder what ours would do if we set deceleration to 0. I think you just stop completely. But we probably should have a setting that says that you can't decelerate. Yeah, so if I do 0 here, time to full stop, yeah, he just stops. So if you have 0 on both, he's just gonna go his full. It's more like Mega Man, right? You don't have necessarily a startup. Actually, that's not true. Mega Man has like a 1 or 2 frame startup to his walk, but I think he just doesn't move for like 1 or 2 frames. I don't think he actually like. Or you know what? He just moves 1 pixel. Because you can inch. There's an animation for it too. You can inch toward the edge, but he moves like 1 pixel for like the first couple frames, and then you can just kind of inch your way up. It's kind of neat because his leg only moves a little bit. I mean, Ricky doesn't really do that, but it almost kind of looks like it. But the way that Mega Man does it's neat. Anyway, let's put those values back. It's kind of funny how the warm-up can actually change your perception of the movement speed. Because if I change these to 0, and he just walks like this, it just seems like really fast out of the gate. Actually, is his terminal velocity different? He's actually not walking as fast when we're doing it this way. Huh, something must be mucking it up. I'll have to look into that. Something's probably messing it up. That's alright. It's a basic idea. So what if we don't want a deceleration? Like we say we can't turn around, right? Let's add that in. That you're not allowed to turn around. We would say public will allow deceleration. I think that's right. And we'll say by default you want it, right? We'll do header speed. Header acceleration. I'm pretty sure I spelled that wrong. Acceleration. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. So let's look. Let's look at how we spelled it last time, since I got yelled at last time for spelling it wrong. I guess it is only 1 L. Okay. Two C's, right? 2 C's and 1 L? 2 C's and 1 L. E-R-E-T. Acceler. A-T-I-L. Okay. There we are. Welcome to Mark Can't Spell. And this is deceleration. And yeah, skidding's part of deceleration. Again, I'm gonna want to change how that works. I want a different value. I want a time to skid to stop. But that'll be a different kind of calculation. I'm not sure exactly what to do with that yet. It'll come to me in time. Acceleration, deceleration. Okay, so essentially what we want to do I'm trying to think of how would I implement this. I think I know. Here. Wait, no. It would have to be up top. So I would say that if momentum configuration, you do not allow deceleration, then if the velocity sign is not equal to 0, meaning that you are moving, you're not standing still, you are moving, then your acceleration is going to be the same as if you were attempting to move. Yeah, I think that would work. And I think Symphony in the Night does this? No, Symphony in the Night actually brings you to a full stop. But some games, you can accelerate in the air, but you cannot decelerate. So if you move left or right, and do the... Oh, what Nintendo game does this? We played it recently, I think. Is it maybe Mario 2 that does that? Where you can't stop in air? You can only reverse direction. So if you want to... Oh, the Mega Man games on Game Boy have this. Now you can eventually decelerate, but there's a deceleration time. And so if you want to jump forward and then fall straight down, you got to wiggle the D-pad back and forth to keep switching directions so that you can keep a relative like center position. Otherwise you'll get flying around to the other side. And I think that's what this will end up doing here. And we want to take the negative off because we are still accelerating.
Oh, stop freaking out.
Hello.
Now she's freaking out because I held her to my chest and touched her footsies.
No.
I just like her dinosaur footsies.
Hello, Peeper.
Little raptor feet.
What are you doing, Peeper? Turn around. Sit right. Can you turn around, please?
Yeah, hang on. Oh, raptor foots.
There we go. Hello, Peeper. What you doing?
Being weird, not letting mommy touch her footsies.
Oh. What you doing? Chicken's here. And then if you else. And then otherwise you have just this, right? I'll move that into there. I mean, that looks like it should be alright. Oh, we don't need these brackets here, because we only have one instruction. People, what are you doing? Calm down. Here, sit right. Sit right. Yeah. What? What? Oh, come here. What do you want? What do you want? What are you doing?
Oh no, she's freaking out now because Daddy's got her.
Oh.
Daddy
Come here.
Them footsies?
You don't like it? You don't like it? Oh, she's trying to escape. She don't like it. Come here. What are you doing? Stop freaking out. What are you freaking out for? There's nothing to freak out about. There's nothing to freak out about. You gonna peck the microphone? Oh, Jesus. Go on. Your dog is wanting a cameo in game. Yeah, I could possibly put a cameo for the dog. And the chicken. And the cats. I don't even know what kind of breed the dog is. It's kind of like this weird mixed breed. It kind of looks like Iggy from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. But it's not like a full Iggy. It's mixed with something else or something. I don't know. It looks like a Chihuahua thing. A Chihuahua Iggy? I don't know. Whatever, man. Alright, let's see if this actually works or not. First, let's see if we broke anything. How about we run it first and see if we broke anything. And it looks like we didn't break anything. Okay, so if I turn deceleration off. Oh yeah, no, it pretty much... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Whoops. So when you skid... I guess you don't allow skidding because you're not allowed to turn around, right? So... Yeah, actually, that's something you do one, you gotta do them all? Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll have to check for this. So if we let's see. You know what? This is an opportunity to show you the value of having values that you can't overwrite. Because you could do a thing, you could say whether or not skidding is available or not, right? So public will allow skidding. Say true. Whoop. But if you do it this way, if you do private, then when you do public, will allow skidding. Here's the thing. Are you allowed to skid when you can't decelerate? No, the answer is no. You're not allowed to skid if you can't decelerate. So you could say, is allow skidding, you have to allow deceleration and allow skidding. And then whenever you check this value, it'll check both of them for you. Now, I'd still rather have this public so you can change it. But that's one of the things that you can do. Whoop, get out of here. That's one of the things you can do with these shortcut properties. Because this basically is just shorthand for checking both of these. Now, if I don't remember to check both of these, we could come into a weird situation, right? How much time have you spent programming video games to get this far of experience and knowledge? That's a complicated thing to answer because I don't do this full time. I don't do it professionally, to be quite honest. I mean, yeah, I make games, but like it's not like you get paid to make games. I just make games because I want to make games. I did QA for Activision in 2009? 2008 to 2009. And then they laid like a whole bunch of people off. Of course, that included me. But it was terrible, so I didn't want to go back. So then I thought maybe I'll do my own stuff, but then I just did my own little like hobby stuff. And then in 2013, I went to make a mobile game, and that didn't do well, unfortunately. But that was like a full commercial venture. Like we got money, we paid people, we did the whole shebang. And that didn't work out. So then we tried to sign with a publisher, and that didn't work out. Well, that was a bad experience. And we made a second game, and that didn't work out. And so then I had to quit that because I didn't have, it was a failure. I had to find money somewhere else. And so went back to non-game dev work at that point. And so that was between 2013 and 2014. 2014 I had to quit and go back. Now at that point I was the studio, quote unquote. Like we worked through the internet, but I was like the one who set up the studio and did all the legal shit and all that stuff. And then since then, it's basically been, yeah, screw it. I'll make whatever game I want and I'll do it on my own time, as much as I can. And I would love to do, you know, like this is obviously a commercial game, you know, we not taking elements, you know, we're not taking sprites from other games. It's not a fan game. This is an actual full up, eventually a commercial release. And I would like to get to the point where one of these works and then I can just do this all the time. That would be great. So it's kind of hard to say, like, you know, being part-time on it, it's like how much experience did I actually gain in the last 10 years or so? Yeah, because 2009 to now, and while I was working QA there, I was doing programming on the side. Because the eventual idea at Activision was like, oh, I'll work QA here, and I'll do my programming stuff, and then I'll show them the thing that I made, and then they'll want to hire me as a programmer, or whatever. And, you know, Activision sucks really, really bad, so don't do that. Don't work for them because they're terrible. So that was initially the plan, until working at Activision really told me I shouldn't be working at Activision. Yeah, and then it just kind of spiraled from there. But it's not like I've been in the industry, quote unquote, for 10 years, you know, or whatever. It's not, I don't have that much experience on it. What do you want? Get out from under my feet. What are you doing? The dog's here now. What do you want? Stop. You're tickling my legs with your tail. Just stop. Stop. Hello. What are you doing? Oh, you're all wet. Why are you wet? Is it raining outside? Were you outside? Hello. Okay. Just stop tickling me with your tail. Yeah, so it's hard to say how much real experience that I have. You could say that I might have like a quarter of the experience that someone would normally... Well, let's say... Because I did do it full-time there for a while. Yeah, I don't know. I probably have about a quarter of the experience that someone else doing 10 years of this would have, if they were like in the industry. I don't know. I guess that's what the answer is. It's really hard to... It's really hard to think about how much real experience I have. I don't know. I hope that answers the question. I should just turn skidding off by default. It's not something that all games will use. So, I don't know. It was probably a really confusing answer, but hopefully that made some sense. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially it. Just, I do it because I like it. I don't... It would be really nice to have money come in from it, because that would allow me to do so much more with it. It'd allow me to hire people and, you know, like, keep everybody taken care of, and that would be great. But it's not a prerequisite for me doing what I do. So yeah, it would be really great to make money from this, but if it doesn't, then I'm still going to be here anyway. I don't care. I guess I'm more concerned about anybody that works with me at that point. Let's see. We'll call it skidding. Hey, skidding's probably actually not a really great term for it, because this could be air momentum too. This could be direction reversal. I don't know. Skidding makes sense though. So we'll leave that way, because I don't want to hide these properties. We'll just have to know here. Okay, so when you start skidding, we got to make sure that you're not skidding, but we also have to make sure that you can skid. And you check that by allow deceleration and allow skidding. Both have to be true. Hey Red Skull, what's up? And I'll bring this to the second line now. It's getting a little long to read. Okay, we should be able to turn skidding off now. So if we have deceleration, we don't allow skidding. Okay. Oh, he's still skidding. How come he's still skidding? That's strange. But if it's on... Oh, he's not really skidding, only his animation is skidding. But notice that he decelerates at the same rate. That's what it is. But if I turn skidding on... Okay, I have to make sure the animation stops as well. I have to duplicate this down here for the animation. So he wasn't really skidding, he was just slowing down. I think this skid looks natural. You should leave it, unless you have a reason that you don't want it. Oh, I'm just making options here. So, you could have different types of terrain that allow you to skid or don't. Here it is. Yeah, see, now you don't skid, you just decelerate. And then skidding on, and then see you stop quicker. If you let go, you come to a slow stop. But with skidding, you stop much quicker. And so you can make it so that ice movement doesn't have skidding. Ground movement has skidding. But in ice movement, you're kind of screwed, right? So that's what I mean. Different terrain types could have different ways of doing this. And this is not just for terrain too, this could be for jumping momentum. So maybe when you jump in the air that you are not allowed to decelerate, right? So we can simulate that here. To say, oh, you can't turn around at all. Really? You can't turn around at all? Hold on, let's do it on the ground one. Oh no, you can turn around here. But is that because skidding is on? No, it works without it too. Oh. Okay, I see what's going on here. You do have to hold it. Yeah, it's a little glitched. Oh. What? Oh. Poor kitty. Yeah, okay, so I see what's going on there. I think that's just glitched. So what I want to happen is that even if you turn around, you don't decelerate. You just start accelerating the same speed in the other direction. But I think we'll have to have more options to facilitate that. I don't think it logically works with the way we've got it set up now. But that's fine. But the the ice looks cool because you can't, it really screws with you because you can't skid either. You can just only decelerate. Like, it really feels super slippery because of that. That's funny. And then on ground you can skid. It's kind of cool because he's just kind of, I don't know, he looks like he's out of control because he's trying to change direction. But without skidding, his feet are just going, right? But here, he looks like he's in control. Like he's got some traction. That's really cool. I like that. I think that's cool. Hey, we're doing pretty good today. We didn't break too many things, and it actually looks really neat. Okay, let's save this before something blows up. And, actually, I want to move Ricky. And I'm going to say he does not start with the blast. There. Eventually you should make an NPC in a farm with his wife surrounded by animals, chicken, cat, dog, called Cram? Wait. Why would... Oh, because it's marked backwards. I get it. Cram and Mark. Well, there's no... I don't have any games that would have a farm in it. Not yet. Cram. That's funny. Yeah, this works out pretty good. I think this is a pretty good stopping point.
I heard somebody mention Farm Simulator.
No, not Farm Simulator.
Shut up. They said your wife with your wife.
Yeah, they're saying I should put that as a character. A bunch of characters like that.
Yeah, well, do it.
There's no farm in this game.
Make one.
What do you mean make one? There's no farm.
Make one.
You're in the middle of the woods.
Make one.
No.
Make one.
I mean, you theoretically could have like a farm near the mansion, but I don't know. I don't think it would fit. Not in the scope of the game, at least. It's just really cool how slippery the ice is. Oh, there's the time. I was gonna say, I think the playlist is almost over. There's the time's up. So, yeah, this is a great stopping point. Everything kind of came together here. Excuse me. Oh. Yeah, I think this works out. So I'll, this looks really cool. I'll probably post this as a video on Twitter or something. It just looks really neat. Go, Ricky, go! do that slipping and sliding. It's so seamless too. You hit the ground and then you just immediately like come to a stop. Well, not immediately, but you know what I mean. Like the deceleration. It gets really quick, especially if you're trying to turn around, and then you hit that, and you get it. Hey, it looks like he doesn't actually skid though when that happens. Probably because he's already facing that direction. I wonder if that's something we could fix eventually. So that if you're going this way and then you turn, you notice he doesn't skid. He actually turns around very quickly like he is skidding. But the animation itself doesn't play. I wonder... I have an idea. Maybe you're always checking for the skidding. Skidding is always technically occurring, but it doesn't change your modifier. So the only thing that is skidding should change your modifier. So it would be here, it would just not do this. I think that would make sense. I don't know if we can do that real quick. And it just completely undoes all the shit that we just did. That's how it works sometimes. So only if those two are like that, then you would do that. And then the same thing for the animation then. You remove it out of here. So I would say if that, yeah, if not this, if these are not true, then is running becomes true. I have to put that back. Let's make sure that we did this. This getting. Yeah. Okay. Well, that looks okay. This might work. Or it'll terribly break everything. Okay, he's still skidding. No. It's still catching here. Only the animation is broken, though. Everything looks okay. I don't think he's actually skidding here. Because he's taking so long to... Yeah, he's taking so long to turn around. He's not actually skidding. I think the animation is just running. Oh, this is it. Here. That's it. I had to turn skidding animation. Explicitly turn skidding off. The animation, at least. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And then on here, yeah, it's still working. There, hey, we fixed it. How about that? Last minute, 2-second fix. That looks really cool. Yeah, I'm going to take a video of that on Twitter. But I think it looks good. And maybe other people will too. Oh, it still doesn't, it still doesn't pick up here when he's turned around, when he transitions, but, well, whatever. It's a step in the right direction. Save, and we're pretty much done. So, we have schedule. Sunday, I'm gonna play something. Don't know exactly what it's gonna be. Oh, excuse me. I'm sleepy now. And then Monday, Pocket Fighter EX. That's the little fighting game you saw in the middle here. Gonna work on that, and we're gonna do more about those round icons, like when you end it and you get a specific icon for how the round ended, whether it's a super finish or whatever. And then Thursday we'll come back with Retro Mansion game. I don't know if we'll be working on this. I mean, this is pretty much, seems pretty much done at this point. So we'll probably be working on something else. Yeah, sorry C64, we're shutting down now. So we'll probably be moving on to a different thing. I'll probably do either a different animation, or if I can get more of the platforming code working. Oh, a bug landed on me. Hello. Well, come on, get off. There, shoot. I don't know, we'll do something. And so we have a Patreon, or well, I have a Patreon, to be more specific. But this Patreon supports my personal efforts in game development and all that stuff, and gets more toward the goal of me having more resources to do more things like this. And we've got a bunch of generous patrons to read off. We got Alex Smith, Mugen, Cameron Weil, Varian X, Awakened Emperor, Angel, Rui Luis, Mike Cruz, Taryn Williams, Bryce Noglingam, AJ, Alex D, Engraved Spirit, Omega Keo, Miles Griffin, Ben K, D Money 107, and LD Walker. Thank you guys very much. And by becoming a patron, you get access to preview builds of the things that I work on, and not personal updates, but you know, I guess more of like the inside scoop of what's going on. So sometimes I put special updates up there and things like that. So there you go. I'm tired. I need to get out of here. But thanks everybody for watching. Everybody take care, and I'll see you next time. Scrub out.